Since the dawn of creation, mankind has been at war with itself. The art of warfare is a global phenomenon, and the battles of the Bible were no different. Forget Marvel's Avengers, the Bible holds the template for the modern-day superhero. Consider King David's mighty men, a team of elite warriors, mighty men of valor, who stood by their king with unshakable loyalty and unmatched courage. They were a brotherhood forged in battle, chosen to fight for God's people and defend Israel against his fiercest enemies. Journey with me as we dive into the heroic exploits of David's legendary squad and uncover the weapons, warfare, and faith that made them unstoppable. The Bible lists 37 of David's warriors, but 3 of them stood out among the rest. These were the elite of the elite, the mightiest of the mighty. Josheb-Basshebeth, the spearmaster. The sun blazed over the Shephelah, its golden light reflecting off the iron and bronze of an advancing Philistine army. The valley echoed with the rhythmic stomp of 800 warriors, their spears glinting like a field of death. They had come to crush Israel's resistance, to claim the land as their own. Yet in their path stood a single warrior, Adino the Eznite, chief of David's mighty men, his feet planted firmly in the dust, his bronze-scale armor stained with battle. He gripped his long spear, its shaft worn smooth by countless victories. 2 Samuel chapter 23, verse 8 reads, "These are the names of the mighty men whom David had: Josheb-Basshebeth, a Tachmonite, chief of the captains. He was called Adino the Eznite because of 800 slain by him at one time. Hour after hour, Adino fought alone, the weight of his weapon growing heavier, but his spirit unwavering. His muscles burned, his breath came in ragged gasps, but the Lord strengthened his hands. The ground became slick with blood. The cries of the Philistines turned to terror as their numbers dwindled to nothing. Finally, silence fell. The bodies of 800 warriors lay motionless. The valley, now a graveyard of the enemy. Adino, bloodied but unbroken, planted his spear into the earth. The winds carried away the dust of battle, and with it, the legacy of a warrior who stood alone and did not fall. Eleazar, the sword bearer who never quit. Then there was Eleazar, the son of Dodo. In one battle, when the Israelite army fled, he stood his ground and fought until his hand was frozen to his sword. That's commitment. That's endurance. His grip wasn't just on a weapon, it was on God's promise. The Philistines were many, far outnumbering the Israelites. They came with a mighty force, their warriors fierce and unyielding. But Eleazar, he stood firm, unwavering, despite the overwhelming odds. With his brothers in arms by his side, Eleazar fought fiercely. But as the day wore on, the battle grew more intense. The Philistines pressed forward, threatening to break the Israelite lines. Then, in the heat of the moment, Eleazar's comrades began to retreat. Fear spread like wildfire, but Eleazar stood his ground and fought until his hand was frozen to his sword. His grip wasn't just on a weapon, it was on God's promise. 2 Samuel chapter 23, verses 9 through 10. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite, one of the 3 mighty men with David when they defied the Philistines who were gathered there to battle, and the men of Israel had withdrawn. He arose and struck the Philistines until his hand was weary and clung to his sword. And the Lord brought about a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to strip the slain. In the battle against the Philistines, Eleazar proved that with unwavering faith, even one man can turn the tide of war. His legacy will echo through the ages, inspiring generations to come. Shammah, the defender of the harvest. The Philistines, ever bent on destroying Israel's fields and resources, marched towards this very land, a threat that could not go unchallenged. And yet, when the other Israelites saw the enemy closing in, they fled like cowards. But not Shammah. He did not run. He stood tall, unwavering. For him, this field was worth fighting for. This was not just about crops. It was about the land of his people, their home, and he would defend it. 2 Samuel chapter 23, verses 11 through 12. Now after him was Shammah, the son of Agi, a Herorite. And the Philistines were gathered into a troop where there was a plot of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he took his stand in the midst of the plot, defended it, and struck the Philistines, and the Lord brought about a great victory. Shammah's legacy is one of courage, loyalty, and unshakable resolve. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest battles are fought for the smallest of things, and when you stand firm, you just might change the course of history. King David appointed Benaiah as the commander of his royal guards, similar to an elite secret service. He was trusted with the king's personal protection. Benaiah was a valiant fighter and held in higher honor than any of King David's top 30 fighters. 1 Chronicles chapter 11, verses 22 to 23. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, mighty in deeds, struck down the two sons of Ariel of Moab. He also went down and killed a lion inside a pit on a snowy stature, 5 cubits tall. Now in the Egyptian's hand was a spear like a weaver's beam, but he went down to him with a club and snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Weapons and warfare tactics. David's mighty men didn't just rely on brute strength. They were skilled tacticians who knew how to strike with precision. Some fought in tight formations, others used ambush tactics. They had access to swords, spears, and bows, but their greatest weapon was faith in God. They were even willing to risk their lives to satisfy the needs of the king of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 23, verses 13 to 17. David had a craving and said, "Oh, that someone would give me water to drink from the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate." So the 3 mighty men broke through the camp of the Philistines and drew water from the well of Bethlehem, which was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink it, but poured it out to the Lord. And he said, "Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Shall I drink the blood of the men who went in jeopardy of their lives?" Therefore he would not drink it. These things the 3 mighty men did. Psalm 144 verse 1 reads, "Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle." The heart of a warrior. What made these men truly mighty? Was it their strength? Their skill? No, it was their devotion to their king and their God. These men fought not just for victory, but for something greater, the kingdom of God. We too are called to be warriors, not with swords and spears, but with prayer, faith, and the armor of God. The battles we face may not be against Philistines, but we are in a spiritual war every day. Ephesians chapter 6 verses 10 through 12 reads, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the full armor of God so that you will be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places." So, will you be a modern day mighty warrior? Will you stand firm when others run? Will you fight the good fight of faith? David's mighty men were just ordinary men until they decided to trust an extraordinary God. And that same God calls you to stand boldly today. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 13 says, "Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong." Stay strong, fight with faith, and remember, the battle belongs to the Lord. Thanks for watching, and God bless.